So the line forms over here where you will be sprayed for insects, watered, possibly put in a new pot if that's necessary, and then you will come in for the winter. So good luck with your stay, and I certainly hope to see you again in the garden next spring. So I'm going to have to really get to spizzing around today. I actually got a little bit in yesterday, which is a good thing because I thought it was just going to get around 45 degrees, but with the wind chill factor, it's going to be 20 is the prediction now. So all this has to come in today, and I've got to get busy. Hi, it's Nancy with Gardens Grow. Happy Sunday morning. Hope you're having a blessed Sunday. Hope you're watching The Red-Headed Stranger on Gardens Grow. That I just wanted to say that, you know, the frost, or we didn't actually get frost, but the temperatures dropped and everything is looking like this. I knew it would, and I guess I'm ready for it. I guess I have to be ready for it. But I just wanted to say we had a full week. Monday I got things ready for my little tour, and I had friends from the community, friends from my church, and a longtime friend that we used to work together, and our lives kind of went separate ways, and she was here and brought her husband, and it was a wonderful little get together Tuesday. And then of course all that getting together and all that getting ready for it took a lot of energy, and just you know, it causes a lot of stress, but it was worth it, well worth it. And then also then Wednesday I started getting plants ready to come inside, and I thought I had plenty of time. I thought I had until Friday, and then I realized that day, no, I did not have that much time at all. And so the next day I had to get everything in that I was able to get in and save for next year. And then that was Thursday, and so Thursday I did get it all in, and then Friday I took pictures to my sister, and we didn't get in till late. And then yesterday was Saturday, and I pretty much just sunk out. I was gripey and grouchy and frustrated at everything I did, and I finally took a nap. And then I still felt terrible. I felt sick all day, but I'm feeling like going again this morning, praise the Lord. So I'm going to take you around today and show you and show myself what damage the frost or the freeze has done to my plants, and what all needs to be done to finish getting it ready to go dormant for the winter. Look at these tough little impatiens. I know that one is raggedy and looking terrible, and so is that. Ooh, a little excitement for the day. I'm awake now, but that was scary. But let's go back to this tough little impatient and hope we don't see any more centipedes. But look how tough it is. I can clip these off and it'll go again until the next freeze. But I think we're supposed to be getting close to it in the night time in the middle of this week, and then another chance at the end of this week, and I don't know how much longer we have for any of this, but you can tell it doesn't look anything like it did the last time I showed it to you. So everything is looking curled up, brown and curled up. But I've got a lot still to do. One thing, look at these. I was so proud of these elephant ears, and now they're all curled up too. But I need to dig those up and bring those inside so that we'll have them back out here again next year to look at and enjoy. This little pansy back here, it's just saying, oh wow, this is my kind of weather. I want to shine now. So mixed right in with all the dead stuff, we're going to see some beauty too. There'll still be beauty in the garden, but it'll never be as pretty as it was until next fall when everything's grown up. And oh look, this Swedish ivy lives. I figured it would be gone too. I need to ask if anybody in my family wants this, because I don't have room to bring any more of it in, and I have a piece of it myself. But it's so pretty. It's so hardy for outside in the summertime. Now in the winter it's got to be brought in. It might last through this last cold spell, but it won't last through the harsh cold spells that we'll be having. And this is how most all of the little coleus look. They just can't handle that cold. And I would be able to trim a bunch of this stuff back and still have a pretty garden. But I'm going to focus my energies on getting in the things that I need to get in. And then I will need, after I dig up all the elephant ears, the caladiums, the pineapple lilies, those types of bulbs, and I want to bring in some of this beautiful purple heart plant. I definitely want some of that to put back out next year. But these little impatiens, as you can see, they did, even though it curled them up and turned them brown a little bit, for the most part they're still shining right on. And I see that I just plain old need to put some water on some of this too, because this is a mum and it's begging for a drink. But today I hope to get up these pineapple lily bulbs and several of the bulbs. And then if possible, if I have time and can get the ground soft enough and still have time, I would like to go ahead and dig up the dahlias. It'll have to be done soon, and I may as well go ahead now and get it put away for the winter. And then after I get all that done, of course I'll need to put away the hoses and just kind of winterproof the garden. Remember how this looked just a few days ago, and here it's all brown and curled up. And I don't know how this happened, but look at this little coleus. It barely got nipped at all. But this one, the same kind, it's all brown. Not looking good at all. And then after I get all the other stuff done that I just told you, I'll also want to come out and put some plastic over some of these little plants. They are hardy, but just being in that little shallow pot, they won't fare well if I don't go ahead and give them a little bit of protection. And there's a lot of things I want to protect. If nothing else, just for the little garden decor that's in it, because they do get brittle and they'll crack and just look terrible in the garden if you don't give them some little protection. I used to bring these all in, but of course I have so many now that there's just no way I could bring all those in. But I hope to get some of them in. Probably most of them I'll just cover with plastic and wait till spring and take it off and enjoy them again, hopefully. And this little coleus that was right here, and I used to have to move it out of her face each time I took the picture, but it's all curled up and going away. But these beautiful little sedum are still doing fine. I'll want to cover those a bit too. I won't cover it to the point that it can't get air and water, but I will cover some of that up so it'll have a bit of protection through the winter. This little mum has totally outgrown its little pot. Next year I'll have to divide that one. But right now it's still looking great. And I would say these little mums got nipped a bit, but honestly I think I just need to give them a drink. So I need to get out here and do that too before I start digging up bulbs. I noticed some of the grasses are starting to turn their pretty colors since we had that cold spell. The sedums also put on lovely colors for fall. And I had to purchase a couple of more pots because the ones that I brought inside, the root is coming out the bottom of them, and it's just, there's some more pretty chrysanthemums that haven't even begun to bloom yet, so hopefully they'll get their chance to bloom and be having their time in the spotlight too. But I had some pots that were just totally root bound, but I did not have time to put them in a different pot that day, so I just put them in the house anyway. And I will try to get out here and put those in a different pot so they'll do better in that pot for the winter while they're staying inside. And I noticed these pretty little elephant ears called Lime Zinger did fine, but I'll definitely want to get those up and get them inside for the winter too, so they'll be back out. And there's some more of the caladium that I'll need to bring in. I can see one of them there got nipped good, but the others look pretty good. This is still looking good. So you can tell there's still a garden out there. This is the silk plants, of course, that I put on here. There's still something about silk, just the fact that it doesn't die. Of course, it doesn't ever live either, but it sure is pretty. The little coleus that were in this pot have just totally changed. They're all brown and they're gone for the winter. There's another mum that hasn't even begun to open yet. I hope that it still will and that I'll be out here showing that to you before long. And this one. So the little roots, even when it's cold, the little roots, like I transplanted this hosta, and I think it'll have plenty of time to get its roots down. They're already down and they're probably getting strong there, and they'll have quite a bit more time. Even when everything around it is cold, its little root will grow quite a while longer before it also goes dormant for the winter, and then I'm pretty sure that it'll be back in the spring. This little mum is beginning to open. And I noticed that the grass is changing into some prettier colors. after that cold spell. And these pretty little coleuses pretty much went the way of all the earth too. There's still a little bit of color there though. Same with this beautiful redhead coleus. Parts of it are all curled up and parts of it are still wanting to live. And I hate to dig the dahlias because they seem to just begin to be looking really good. And then it's time to dig them up. But that's the way it goes sometimes. And I can see this little one over here is curled up, not looking anything like it did before the cold came. But right on down, it looks like this one fared pretty well. And we did not get rains with the cold, so I watered a little, hoping that it would stave off the cold, but as you can see, a lot of it got nipped anyway. But before I dig my dahlias, I'm going to have to find my soaker hose and give the ground a good soaking so that I will be able to dig those up. Another pretty redhead coleus that didn't totally get taken out. This is another job I hope to get done before the really cold winter gets here. You know, I told you I did my front iris beds. I clipped them back too soon and now they all have to be clipped back again. But it's just like other things in life. In the garden, you just have to get it at a certain time, and that's not always possible. But I'm hoping that I do get this one cleaned out. Iris are, to me, very hard to clean out in the spring if this is all soft and just laying down. You can't tell actually where the rhizome is and where the foliage part ends, and I end up pulling some of them up accidentally, and it's just hard to tell which ones do need to be actually divided. So hopefully I will get this done before the really cold weather sets in. However, that will not be a job for today. If I get the bulbs taken in and the dahlias dug and taken in, I will be doing very good. This little coleus was a beauty too, and now it's all brown. That pretty verbena, it didn't seem to mind the cold at all. And this marigold is looking good. These are not looking nearly as good as they did before either. But there's still some color left there, so that's good. Look what a pretty color there is on this mum. So this little pot is empty in the middle because that's where I had my red flowering mandevilla, and it's inside, still blooming and looking great, and I hope it'll last through the winter and it'll be back out here in the springtime and summer, and that we'll enjoy that again also. Oh, this is a sad little pot. Remember what it looked like before. So full of that beautiful coleus that's called Strawberry Drop, and it just flows out and trails out. It's so pretty, but it's pretty much gone. I did save a few little clippings and put those in the window. Hopefully they will live through the winter. So that gives us a pretty good idea of what's going on in the garden now after the cold spell. The few things that are left and how things are changing and changing their color, and the little critters in the garden are scurrying around trying to find a warm spot for the winter. My beautiful little creamsicle orange profusion zinnia has gone the way of all the earth, leaving us beautiful seeds to enjoy for next year. I've got to get out here and get these, each one, to bring in and have them in the garden next year too. And also another thing I would like to do before winter comes is, if you'll notice, this little girl only has one wing now, and there's several things in the garden that I need to fix up, and I'd like to do that while it's still warm enough that I can, and do some, I use just foam filling that the kind you use to put around cracks and keep the wind out. It's resin, and most of my little garden art things are resin, so I just take them and fix them with it, and it's quite a job because it is very messy. And also I wanted to point out that I brought some of this inside and put it in a glass, but you can see little seeds on this is the Joseph's Cold Alternanthera in the yellow green, and it's a very pretty little plant too. This little coleus has gone too, almost, but I did get clippings of it, so they're inside, and hopefully they will fare well through the winter too and be back out next spring. And this little redhead coleus is pretty much gone. I don't think I remember to get some of this sweet potato vine either, and there may be still enough life in that for me to get a little piece of that to save. This was one of my favorites all year, and now it looks terrible, but that's the way it's all going to be before too long. It's all going to be gone, but I'm going to enjoy it as long as I can, and hopefully you are enjoying them too. And you can also look back and see when all this was flourishing and healthy and looking great. Just look through all of our other posts on Garden Scroll. And please give me a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. So I had to water yesterday, and I didn't get much else done, although I did get a lot of my caladiums, not all probably, but most of them. And today I'm getting in my elephant ears. And we're hoping to get back and get to the dahlias today too. We'll see how that goes. Yesterday I got a lot done as far as I dug up all the bulbs, and with my husband's help we dug up the dahlias, and I have those in a box and ready to go. I've got to find a place today to put them in my little house, so that's going to be the biggest chore, maybe. And then again, maybe this right here at my feet is going to be the biggest chore, because there's a lot of things I need to fix. This one right here has a hole in her little arm, and what I will do is I will take foam filler, the kind like you used in cracks around the house or the windows, whatever, and put in here. And then I hate this job because it's very dirty or very messy, and you have to keep an eye on it. You have to work fast. Of course, you know you can't reuse it. Once you stop, then it seals itself up. But it's worth doing all that for, to me, because even though this, I'll fix it up and then I'll have to watch it, because after you kind of seal it off with your hand with a glove on, of course, with your glove, and then a little bit later it'll start seeping out and it'll have worms, or sometimes it'll have like the Loch Ness monster coming out on it. So it's just something that we'll have to watch and take care of. This little one right here, I broke her beak off when I was moving things in, but I did find the beak, and so I'll be able to take care of that pretty easily and put that back on. And this little pot, I had to change it out, and the whole thing was out of the bottom of it. So I'm going to fix my pot, and I'm going to put it in this one to hold its form, and then I'll put some saran wrap in the bottom of that so it doesn't stick to it. I'll put this one back down in here, which it has to fit pretty good, and it does. I've already tried it. There you go. And once I get it back in there, I'll fill this one up, and I'll make sure to leave a drain hole in it, and it'll be ready to use again. So, and then my little girl, her wing, I think I showed you that her wing had fallen off. This is going to be the main job for today right here, and this is one of my 3 tiers for my 3-tiered planter baskets. And I do not know, this may just be a foolish effort for me, but all my tiered pots wobble. They have no stability whatsoever, and you put them in the garden and they're all leaned over one way or the other, or falling completely down. So I'm going to try to fix this where it is on a pole, and I'll put it back on the pole later, but there's 2 other ones to go with this, and I'm going to try to put brackets, like a 3-prong bracket in here around the pole, and then foam fill that too, and we'll see how that will work. It may work great, or it may not work well at all, but I'm hoping that it'll work great. So that's what's on the agenda for today. So this is the dahlias we dug, and I also noticed that not a lot of my dahlias came up this year. I need to get my soil where it won't be so compacted. I think that may be why they either came up and then just fizzled out, but at least I got this many saved, and I just put them in a box, a cardboard box, so they can breathe, and then so they won't dry out. I usually put some water where it can just evaporate. You don't want it to get on them because then it'll rot, but I'll put this in here and let it just kind of evaporate through the winter, where it'll be on there without actually dripping it down into it. And so far that's worked pretty good for me, or pretty well for me. So we put the brackets in like a tripod stance around each of the bottom 2 poles, and then I'm going to fill that pretty much full of foam filler, and we're going to see if that will give it enough support to keep it stabilized this next spring when I fill it back up again. So we might have to wait till then to actually find out how well this did. So we did the foam fill, I may have already told you, but this is my pot now, so I can plant in it. This is my little girl. Both wings are back on, pretty sturdy, and I'll put her back in her little pond. I'll lay her over this way though, so her wings won't have too much pressure on. And this one's little head was off, and it's back on again. My husband can pick it up like that when he mows, which he usually does. And this is already a kind of a yellow, so it'll turn even worse than that. It'll look really bad if I don't paint it, so I'll need to paint. Well, here's what it'll look like right here if I don't paint it. So, and that's been painted and it's cracked off, but I still like her. And then this is our attempt at starting a 3-tiered garden pot, and I don't know if it's going to work or not, but we put these brackets on here, we put this around it, and then I foam filled these on, and these we did from the other side, and this, of course, we couldn't put on the other side, so we had to turn it over and put it on the bottom side. But I think that's going to, and I will put some more foam filler on that and some more on the bottom of these. And I'm hoping that that will stabilize it, but we probably won't really know until this spring when I get it filled with plants. Look at this beautiful little mum. I need to move it out of there so you can really see how big and pretty it is, since it's all squashed up on that side. But also I noticed that there's a little frog over here. Jumped out. I hope you saw him before he jumped.